Welcome to Shore Perspectives, a community feature of WESR Radio, highlighting the spirit of the shore from those who call it home.
Hello, my name is Willie Justis. I'm the pastor of Holy Trinity Baptist Church in Pontotoc, Virginia. Been there for 10 years and hopefully many more. I absolutely think that we're all being tested. I think that we've taken so much for granted in life, all of us, that now's a test and a pressure to bring things to light to make us open our eyes. So, as I said earlier, it's going to be dependent upon who is watching, who's listening, and who's ready to change. This has been stirring in my spirit for a while. What happened to the spirit of the church? Church, in my opinion, and maybe it's not a popular opinion, has become commercialized, has become world indoctrinated, and has lost some of its purpose. And until the church regains that and cries out for the people, right, I think we'll continue to see this cycle, and there has to be a holistic approach. It can't be just the black church, the white church. It has to be the church in general, recognizing that God is up to something. He's trying to get our attention. So I think one of the things has already started. There are a lot of listening sessions that are going on and conversations that are happening that have been long overdue. A lot of people have become complacent with how things are and the familiarity of it and overlook things. So having conversations about what's happening, the reality of what's happening, the racial tensions that are going on, it's easy to overlook it, especially if you're in a place of privilege or where it's not affecting you. So conversations are a good start. And church goes outside of the four walls of Holy Trinity for me. So education is a big passion for me. And African American kids are suspended at a much higher rate than their white counterparts. So a lot of it is because the teachers don't listen to hear the problems and the cries and the traumas that the children are experiencing. They react to what they see at that moment. So listening comes in many forms, and it's very healing if we use it.
When someone feels they've been listened to, it's like the other person says, I acknowledge you.
Absolutely. And that's what every human cries out, to be acknowledged at some level. So,
And at the same time of being acknowledged, there's also some validation that
and acceptance. Yes.
what you feel is what you feel. I validate these are your feelings.
Absolutely.
And it's okay.
And that's a pathway to healing. You know, we don't have to agree with the feelings, but we have to allow people to express their feelings in a healthy way, right? Then we can understand. You know, I often say, I'd rather for someone to blatantly tell me they don't like me, right? Then I know, and I can address and approach it in a proper way, rather than guessing whether they do or not. So knowing comes in a big part from listening. So yes, listening is important.
We have seen across our country over the past month or so a lot of violence erupting. Do you think that's coming from people who feel they are not heard?
Absolutely. Have not been heard for a long time. And this is, well, there's twofold to that. I think the violence is coming from people that have not been heard, people that have been oppressed, and also from people that are perpetuating this cause, the issue, trying to perpetuate a criminal violent look. So there's a mixture of things that are going on. A lot of it I do not agree with. I agree wholeheartedly with the protest and the peaceful rallies. The looting and so forth, I don't agree with because, oftentimes, not oftentimes, these are people that work hard to build their businesses and so forth. So that part I don't agree with. Unfortunately, I do understand. Well, I think we've taken some first steps. It's been brought to light. Now, what do we do with it? And I think it's going to have to start, well, from a local level, just my opinion. I think that places like the Board of Supervisors should start having conversations. The school boards should start having conversations, right? These different entities that run our communities should be having conversations. We can't hide or pretend like racism doesn't, happen here on the Eastern Shore. We can't pretend like there's not that issue here. Maybe it's not as blatant as in other places. And I believe if we don't have conversations, the longer we go, those racial tensions will continue to grow. For the African Americans and the European Americans, white allies that have been standing together in solidarity, continue to stand. The world sees you. Some may not like you, but love will outweigh all hate. Let the light shine of love. Continue to have conversations. Continue to educate our brothers and sisters. The African American community has people that need to be educated on their own culture and their history. The European white communities need to be educated on their history and the history of what's happening and why people perhaps feel the way they feel, right? But in solidarity, if we stand together and we work through it, I believe that we'll build a strength that will be able to change, and start change and perpetuate change. I always say, and I believe you said something about this earlier, love everywhere you go. If you can help somebody, help someone. If it's wrong, speak up and say it's wrong. It's time now that we start speaking up, particularly for those who can't speak up for themselves. And I believe the book of Isaiah, chapter 61, says it best. If you profess to be a Christian, the Lord anointed us to preach good tidings, to help the oppressed and set captives free. So I believe in humanity. Each of us has that responsibility to help others and set captives free. So let's do our part.
For Shore Perspectives and WESR Radio, I'm Kelley Gaskell.